My brothers, good evening and welcome to a special Masonic talk presented by Craftsman Online. Craftsman Online is a New York State initiative by brothers for brothers, connecting brethren with leadership development, Masonic education, and celebrating the history of New York Freemasonry and the special men who served and continue to serve our gentle craft. The experiences, comments, and opinions and views shared during this program are those of individual Freemasons and do not reflect the official position of a Grand Lodge, concordant body, appendant body, or Masonic authority. My name is Worshipful Michael Larocco. I will be serving as the digital producer for this evening's presentation. We will begin this program in 60 seconds. Tonight's presentation will be recorded and uploaded to our website, craftsmanonline.com, for playback. Please join us on November 18th for History Remembered, as we welcome every living past Grand Marshal for their reflections on Masonic service and lessons on protocol. December 3rd for our Lodge and Building Management 101 series with Right Worshipful Michael Siegel, Esquire, who will present on Masonic buildings and property tax issues. And December 17th for author and worshipful brother Ron Safried, as he discusses his book, Images of America, Long Island Freemasonry. Visit us at craftsmanonline.com, like our Facebook, and check us out on Instagram. And email us if you'd like to get involved. Also, please visit the Battle Within site, which is www.thebattlewithinfoundation.com. Let's support this worthy cause so that we will never lose another brother veteran again. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, the flag of our country. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of
America, and to
the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. My brothers, our Grand Treasurer, Right Worshipful Brother Stephen Adam Rubin. Brother Stephen.
Good evening, my brothers. Veterans Day. Veterans Day. As Masons, as New York Masons, we honor our veterans every day. But on this solemn occasion, we salute the men and women of our armed services who have answered our nation's call to duty, defending our American values, often with great sacrifice to their families and themselves, and too often paying the ultimate sacrifice. There has always been a special relationship between Masons and those who serve. The legacy of Masonic military service in America traces its origins to long before there was even a United States, with military lodges that were attached to various British regiments stationed in the colonies. Indeed, since the Revolutionary War, our brothers have served in nearly every conflict and campaign, wherever and whenever called upon to defend our flag and those principles that define us as a nation. It should come as no surprise that lodges and brothers from around our state continue to recognize the sacrifice of those who have served and continue to serve with relief packages and visits to veterans' hospitals. It should come as no surprise that our Masonic military outreach, led by Worshipful Brother Mike Peters, his dedicated team of Masonic patriots, serves countless meals to our military heroes and their families around our state. Because New York Freemasons have never forgotten that individual soldier or their family, for that is our duty. Equally impressive, our Masonic war veterans, chartered in 1948 by Grandmaster Charles Frizzell, present our flag with such honor and dignity, just as they defended our flag during their active military service. My brothers, please join me in welcoming Right Worshipful Carl R. Hoyt Sr., Commander General, Grand Post, the Masonic War Veterans of the State of New York, for his remarks. Right Worshipful Hoyt.
Good evening. Can you see me okay?
Yep.
Okay. Thank you, Right Worshipful Rubin. And thank you to the Craftsman Online for this invitation to join you in tonight's special presentation. There is no higher calling than serving in our nation's military. While each service member has a unique story, as to why and how they joined, we share a common experience, rich with passion and pride and everything that makes our country great. For many servicemen, there is a special bond that we brothers in arms share. I was fortunate to make this connection twice, once as a member of the Army and later when I took my Masonic obligations. Throughout Masonic ritual, we are charged to be good citizens, to be true to the government and just to the country. Tonight, as we salute the service of the brave men and women of the American military, I would be remiss if I did not acknowledge the fact that we do so on the anniversary of the armistice of World War I. Veterans Day was founded on a day to remember peace, a byproduct to the words we say when closing our lodge meetings. Live in peace, and may the love of God and peace delight to dwell with and to bless you. My brothers, it has been an honor to serve our country and fellow Masonic War veterans as the Commander General. They are my brothers, and you are too. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Right Worshipful Brother Hoyt, for your thoughtful remarks. My brothers, please join me in thanking Right Worshipful Hoyt and all those men and women who have served and continue to serve our great country.
You're the best, Carl.
Thank you, my brothers, for your warm support to our military, veterans, and brothers in arms. Our military represents the best and brightest of our nation and our craft. It has been my distinct pleasure during my membership in our fraternity to meet and share moments with Masonic veterans. Tonight, we call your attention to a need in our communities and our craft, for we have lost far too many American heroes due to suicide, at the astonishing rate of around 20 veterans a day. One of those lives lost was that of our Masonic brother, Captain Peter Schenk. As we learn in our ritual, in the most seemingly darkest times, in those moments where we find grief, we all discover light, which provides an opportunity to seek a larger purpose. Our speaker tonight, Right Worshipful Daniel DiNatale, will share how the brothers of his lodge, Harmony Lodge number 669, took a personal and national tragedy and did what Masons do. They made a difference. During Brother DiNatale's presentation, at the bottom of the screen, you will see a link to learn more about their charitable organization and ways in which you can donate to support this cause. I'm proud to offer their story of uniting together to help heal their lodge and community in this presentation of The Battle Within. Brother Dan.
Thanks, Brother Steve. My brothers, I want to thank the Craftsmen Online for this invitation. With everything that's going on with COVID, getting the message out for what our foundation has done and what they are doing has gotten a lot more difficult. So I appreciate the opportunity to share with you all that we've worked on and all that we continue to work on together. So I guess I got to tell you the story. There's only one way to fully understand what the battle within is, and that is to hear how we got here. 7,200 veterans a year take their lives from the wounds that cannot be seen, scars from conflict that aren't visible. It's a horrendous statistic. It's something that has been measured really since Vietnam, and frankly, the number's probably significantly higher. Our veterans come home to the civilian. I mean, I'm not a veteran. To the civilian, we see the conflict is over. And that's frankly not true. They have endured horrors and hardships that we can't fathom and frankly never will be able to. And they carry these scars. And for many of them, it's just too much. PTSD, stresses of other mental illness brought on by combat and service take their toll. And unfortunately, this happened to a Masonic brother. The story of the battle within is intrinsically linked to Freemasonry. So Brother Peter Schenk, I had the privilege of knowing Brother Peter since he had been about 12 years old. He used to hang out at one of my card shops. We didn't tell him when he joined the lodge. It was kind of funny. It was by happenstance. One of the brothers put his petition in, and Brother Mahalek and myself were standing near the secretary's desk, and we're looking before the meeting, and it's Peter Shank, and we're like, "What do you mean, Peter Shank?" And Todd looks at me, and I look at him, and goes, "The kid from the card shop?" And he's like, "Yeah." One of the brothers that had gone to college with him, Canisius, didn't know that we all knew him, so we didn't tell him. When he came to light, he said it was like coming home. He came to light, and he saw people he had known pretty much his entire life, and not realize that we were all Masons. Peter did 3 tours, and unfortunately, nothing makes his story unique. Peter came from a great home. He had a wonderful family. He had an amazing education. They used to call him a warrior poet. He would sit there and talk to you about English sonnets and Roman history. He was an exceptionally intelligent man, and the road really to anything he wanted was open to him. I believe his highest ranking chief was captain. I mean, he was no joke. When he came home after the third tour, he just wasn't really Peter anymore. And we never really knew. He never talked about it, but we knew something was wrong. And he relied on the brothers of our lodge, Army Lodge number 699 OM, for a lot. He had his family support, but unfortunately, he severed a lot of ties with them. And in the end, the support really came from us. He was couch surfing and living in different brothers' apartments. And when finally the wounds did take him, he died in the care of a brother. And this left a pronounced scar on the lodge. Here was a man, in his 20s, from our perspective, who literally had anything he wanted in life. But we couldn't save him. We couldn't save him. And if we couldn't save him, what else was going on? To us, we did some soul searching. Was his story unique? We never hear about veteran suicide. What happened to Peter? What happened to Peter? Is that normal? Is that something that happens? Is this, so we did our own research, and we found out that 20 plus veterans a day are lost to us. And we thought that was one of the most horrific things that you never hear. You hear about veteran homelessness and how proud we are in Erie County. That's where we are in Buffalo, New York. How proud we are in Erie County to have what's called a relative zero. So in Erie County, they have striven to have no homeless veterans. And that's a great statistic, right? But we don't talk about the veterans who died from suicide, which frankly, the number is significantly higher. So we decided to do the thing that is hard. As Freemasons, we know that that's what we do. We're builders, right? So we built. We decided to take the road that was more difficult. We didn't want to just, have an event and remember Peter once. We wanted it so that not one more mother, not one more father, not one more family had to suffer like we had suffered together. So we decided to establish the Battle Within Memorial Foundation. The foundation strives to bring awareness to veterans' mental health, PTSD, and truly to honor veterans who have been taken from us from wounds that aren't visible. Because their loss is a casualty of conflict. It just, unfortunately, it's not looked at that way in some respects. It's something that happens after, a delayed effect. The monument was built in the Buffalo Niagara Naval Park. It's right across from the Kroger, if you're ever down in downtown Buffalo. It's right on the waterfront. It's a pretty big naval park. There we go. I'm back. I got muted. It's a pretty big naval park. And they have all sorts of monuments to different veteran causes and units that served and all sorts of things that are intrinsic to the Buffalo veteran community. Our monument is unique in a way, and one, it's standing art as a conversation piece, and two, it's one of the first permanent monuments to honor military personnel that have been taken from us from PTSD and veteran-related suicide. One of the after effects, if you will, one of the things in the design phase that we didn't think about was what people would do to the monument. We didn't realize this, but it had been told to us after. A lot of veterans that die from suicide often don't die anywhere near their home. Often the remains are not interred as we would think, and families go without knowing where their loved ones are. The monument gives them a place to grieve. It gives them a monument. We had families at the dedication in 2019 that came there and told us that this was a place to mourn and a place to heal. Wasn't our intention, but man, is that humbling. The monument itself, to give you some context to how it came together, both the other directors of the Battle Within Foundation are on the call. The good doctor, our president, Dr. Mark, and then brother William Chapin. Dr. Mark originally pitched this idea to me in late 2018 and said, "Hey, I think we should do this." And he says, "Oh, we're going to build a monument." I'm like, "Okay, yeah, we could totally do that. What do you think? Memorial Day 2020 for the 150th anniversary of the lodge?" And he goes, "No, 2019. And I'm like, "Well, that's 8 months from now." And he's like, yes, it is. In 8 months, we were able to fundraise and solicit donations to build this monument. And then truthfully, it comes down to the Masonic fraternity that supported it. The story of the Battle Within is intrinsically Masonic. If it was not for the support of our Grand Lodge and the trustees of the Hall and Home and the connections within the Masonic fraternity, this wouldn't have happened in 8 months, I'll tell you that much. So more about the impact, because that's really what this is all about. What does the foundation do to impact people? So probably the most powerful story we have is during the dedication, there was a woman following me. The event itself was massive. It was the largest public event ever held at the Buffalo Naval Yard. It got so large that we violated the fire codes on the Sullivans, which is a big cruiser. They can hold a lot of people on the tail end of that on that ship. They had to start putting them on the other ship and then out onto the grass in front of the ramp that gets you on there. That's how many people there. I think there were 2,000 or 3,000 people. It was nuts. And there was a woman who had been following us the entire time in the front. She was visibly upset. But unfortunately I was, dealing with all the stuff and running an event, right? So I'm not able to really pay attention to everything. So I finally get down, past the parade and everything. And here we are at the end of the monument. And I'm standing in the little pavilion, getting the next speaker up. And this woman who's been following us comes up to me and she says, I'm a veteran. And I said, "Well, thank you for your service." And she goes, and she looks me dead in the eye and says, "I'm thinking about killing myself right now." Thankfully, I'm standing next to the head of counseling for the VA, and he senses something's wrong. And he looks at me and he goes, "Everything okay?" And I go, "Well, she said she's a vet and she's thinking about killing herself." And he goes, "I got this." He takes her off to the side. Now here's Dan standing with his clipboard, with this going on behind me while I'm queuing on the speakers. He comes back and she's not with him. And he looks at me and he goes, "Don't worry, everything's going to be okay. She's having a bad day, but she chose to come here and she knows what to do next." So I never really knew what happened after that. By happenstance, I work for a financial institution that does a ton of work with the veteran community. And because of my involvement in veteran charitable causes, they sent me to a veteran one-stop event at the KeyBank Center. And her name's Sophie. She's fine. She didn't recognize me, but she chose to come there. And she looked to be doing better. So I don't know what impact we had, but I'm going to take the word of that counselor that she chose to go there and everything was going to be okay. I've had people call me out of the blue, veterans that have seen the monument and told me that they were so thankful that something like this existed because they were finally able to tell their story to their family, something that they've never done. If you look behind me on the bench, you'll see a little tag there that says "Let's talk." That's, I guess you could say, the art end of our design. A monument is just a monument, but we want to be able to make a difference because that's what Masons do. So we put that on the bench so that veterans would have an opportunity to reflect, sit, and tell their story, and they've been doing it. I had a gentleman from Cleveland call me out of the blue and said that, I've never told my wife and kids what happened over there. I saw your monument. I broke down and I finally told him my story. And he goes, I had no idea such a thing existed. He goes, I'm just so moved. And he had actually done some work in his veteran community with veteran mental health, but never really thought about himself. And in this instance, he did, and he told me his story, and it was truly humbling. I've had brothers who have attended events and seen the monument who have said, knowing that the Masonic community supports this, I feel safe in telling my story and talking about my struggles. And that means the world, because that's all this is about. We don't want any more people to suffer. We don't want them to suffer in silence. And this gives them an opportunity to tell their story. So how can you help, right? So at the end of the day, what do we do? Well, one of the things that we do is what I'm doing right now, speaking engagements to tell the story of the foundation, to tell Peter's story, and then to reach out to veterans organizations that are supporting this cause so that we can get the word out about veteran mental health. Like all not-for-profit organizations, we rely on charitable giving. You can donate in a variety of ways. I have two passive ways that you can help contribute to the cause to help us further our goals of bringing awareness and support to the veteran community, especially those suffering from PTSD and other combat-related mental conditions. I'm going to share my screen with you real quick. So the first thing you can do is you can go to our website. And on our website, it'll tell you some of the projects and things that we're working on. So one of the projects we're working on right now is the One Life, One Flag, One Voice campaign. So what we did Memorial Day, just like everything with COVID, a lot of plans got derailed. So instead of having a massive ceremony like we had at the dedication, we had to do something else. And we try to use things, I guess, like public art displays as a way to bring awareness. And in what we did this year was we put a display of 7,200 flags, which sounds like a beautiful thing, but each one of those flags represented a flag that was on the coffin of a veteran that was taken from us this year. The flags took up the entire park. It's difficult for people to imagine what 7,200 lives look like. But when you see this set up, it gives a pretty good awareness of what this impact is per year on families and on the veteran community. So we're planning on doing that again on May the 31st, 2021, hopefully with a little less social distancing, but you never know. If you did want to contribute through the website, you can always click on Donate Now. There'll be all sorts of things on there in the future where if you donate, you might get a pin or something like that. So keep checking on the website. The other way you can do it is through Facebook. You can go right to our Facebook page, like us, and then you can do what I'm doing right now. I'm running a birthday campaign, and people give through that. And that's a passive way to do it. So you're able to set up and solicit for donations, support a wonderful cause, and then through social media, be able to raise a little money. The other way to do it, that we're just starting to really do some work with, we all buy stuff on Amazon, and the holiday season is soon upon us. Amazon Smile is an amazing way to contribute. Though they only give a really tiny part, you literally don't have to do anything. You sign up for Amazon Smile, you put the battle within ink, make sure it's the one that's in Buffalo, New York, very important, so that you can contribute to the right battle within ink. And then whenever you buy things on Amazon, you can give to us by doing just what you're doing. We'll always be happy to speak at lodges, hopefully when life goes back to something normal, hopefully sooner than later. I'm sure you're going to be seeing some amazing things come out in the future. We have an amazing relationship with the Grand Lodge in New York, and there's a lot of support and a lot of, I guess you say, cross-pollination between our groups because it is Masonically inspired. But it isn't all Masons, that should be said. Our amazing advisory board is comprised of a lot of Masons, but we have veterans from every walk of life on there that are helping guide the foundation into our next phase. Truthfully, the three founders of it our objective was to build a monument and bring awareness. And we built a monument. We brought awareness. We did what we wanted to do. And now it's understanding what we can do more of. And Worshipful Ted Clark is our chairman of our advisory board. And, he's doing a great job, as are all on the advisory board, helping us come up with a more holistic vision of where we go from here. But the work is far from over. The monument, frankly, was the beginning, far from the end. My brothers as Masons, we make a profound difference, and we will continue to make a profound difference because of the work that we do in our communities. There isn't one community that isn't touched by this unfortunate epidemic inside of the veteran community. There isn't a veteran that I know of that has not lost a friend, and that is horrifying to me. My hope is that in the future that this monument just talks about, like, all foreign wars, just something that happened, and doesn't happen anymore, just history. Unfortunately, right now it's living history, and that's something that I hope in time very much changes. So, keep up with what we're working on. Check us out on Facebook. Check us out on the website. If you are ever looking for a speaker event or anything in your lodge, let us know. I'm pretty easy to hunt down. I would be happy to Zoom in, or in the future, drive in. I would love to be in front of people again. I think we all would. So with that, I really can't thank you enough for the time and the opportunity to tell our story, to be able to tell Peter's story, and to be able to remember those 7,200 that have passed from Memorial Day to Memorial Day, really from Veterans Day to Veterans Day now. So, today when you see a vet on Veterans Day, then, I thank them for their service, but remember, a lot of them are carrying things that we just don't know. And, do what you can to support the community that you live in and support them, because they might not be able to say it, but they need you. So, Brother Steve, thank you so much for the opportunity. I deeply, deeply, deeply appreciate it. And if any brothers have any questions, concerns, thoughts, let me know. I'm always happy to answer.
Thank you so much, Worshipful Brother Dan, for a wonderful presentation for such an important subject and topic. My brother's Grand Chaplain, Right Worshipful Brother Stenrick Adams.
Thank you, Right Worshipful Brother, Grand Treasurer, for the opportunity to speak. I must say I'm indeed moved. I'm sitting here and I'm listening to the presentation. And by my accent, you recognize that I was not born in the United States of America, but my family is a country of my choice. And I've placed my family and my generations to come in the heart and in the hands of the United States of America. And they are very dear to me. One of the most important things for me is that I wasn't able to serve in the military. And that's something that's always in the back of my head. And just listening to the number of men and women who have served to ensure that me and my family and my generations to come are safe, it is really a moving type of moment for me, personally and otherwise. When I hear the number, 7,200, not died in battle, but died after battle from mental health issues. That reality really, really struck me deeply. So I really appreciate the fact that this presentation was able to shed even some more light on the sacrifices that men and women have made. For me personally, it's very personal for me and my family to be safe and to pursue that life and that American dream. Although Memorial Day began as an armistice day in 1919 to celebrate the end of World War I, November 11 has been celebrated as Veterans Day in the United States since 1954. Many people observe this day with celebrations and parades to honor the sacrifice and dedication of those who have served in the armed forces in the United States. And we have an opportunity this evening to celebrate these brothers, but more so to remember those who this foundation have targeted as men and women in need. There may be no better way to honor a veteran than in prayer, whether it's offered in a religious service, or privately or silently, or as a parade pass, or in a personal card, a note, an email, or now on social media. Prayers can connect you. A veteran and God is a meaningful and productive way. Let us pray. God, please let every veteran of our great nation, armed forces, feel truly appreciated, feel truly honored by the attention and appreciation of their fellow citizens and brothers. Let no one feel forgotten or neglected. Let every man and woman, young and old, feel the depth and enduring gratitude of our nation and its inhabitants. Grand Architect, you know that it can be a difficult task for a person who have returned from battle or stressful military service to re-entangle into normal everyday life. You know that veterans can feel isolated and alone, even in the midst of their friends and family, because there are few around them who really understand their experience. So I ask you to place in their path of all our veterans those who do understand or who strive to understand, that they may feel less alone. Remember them often, that while their fellow human beings may never fully comprehend, you see, you know, and you identify with them in everything. And finally, Grand Architect of the Universe, you know every veteran by name. You know their deeds, you know their hard work and their perseverance. You know their weaknesses. You know both their mental and spiritual needs. Please draw each one close to you and grant them all that peace which passes all understanding. And we pray at this moment also for this, the battle within foundation, and their endeavor and their force and their energies that they put forth to do the human thing, especially as we move forward in these tough times. We ask your blessings in the name of that grand being, that sovereign God Almighty. Amen.
So mote it be.
So mote it be.
Thank you so much, Brother Grand Chaplain. God bless the men and women of our armed services, past, present, and future. Thank you, Right Worshipful Brother Dan, for your presentation tonight, but especially thank you and the Brothers of Harmony Lodge for casting a light on this national tragedy. Thank you, Right Worshipful Hoyt, for your thoughtful remarks and for your service then and now. And thank you to the Army of brothers around our state who demonstrate by action and deed today and every day that Masonry is an action word, a call to duty, a call to service, and a call to care. God bless our veterans. God bless you. God bless our country and our craft. Good night, my brothers.